See a lot of him tomorrow. Baker Mayfield's preseason debut. How will we know if the rookie is ready to go? Plus, Cardinals quarterbacks only. Bradford and Rosen taking questions from Kurt and refusing to answer one of them. Also ahead, does he still have it? What to look for when Beast Mode takes the field? We've got your Raiders practice on today's Total Access.
"24 hours from right now, 12 teams will be kicking off preseason 2018, part of a jam-packed Thursday. 24 teams in action tomorrow night. That's 75% of the league getting after it tomorrow night. I haven't seen anything like this since New Year's Eve, which was week 17 of last year. We'll have you covered tomorrow on NFL Network, and we've got you covered right here tonight. Welcome to NFL Total Access Preseason Preview, presented by Mitsubishi Motors. Scott Hansen, Lindsey Rhodes, Elliot Harrison, Steven Jackson, Akbar Baja-Biamila.
You got it.
Ready for some football.
Oh, yeah.
And of all the understatements that you could have made right there, Scott, I hope you've got your Octobox ready to go, because we are going to need it tomorrow. 8 teams kicking off between 7 and 8, including the Giants and the Browns, featuring Saquon and Baker.
I'm excited. Yeah, you can tell the guys are pretty excited to get out there Thursday and compete against somebody else besides ourselves. I think it's going to be a good test for us to see how we translate what we've been working on and, take it out against somebody else and see if we can execute it. For me, it's not looking at it like I have to handle it any different. I still want to go out there and I still want to lead that offense and lead our team, so I'm not going to handle it much different.
All right, as week 1 preseason games go, this one has a massive amount of hype, and really rightly so. We've actually never seen anything like this. The number 1 pick and the number 2 pick going head-to-head in their rookie preseason debut. First time in NFL history. You look back in the annals of history, haven't had it happen before. The quarterbacks are expected to play quite a bit. Baker Mayfield, that is going to play quite a bit. They're talking about maybe 2 quarters for him. We'll start with you. What are you looking for in Baker Mayfield's first game?
Well, first off, we know he's going to have a lot of nerves, but I'm looking for him to be calm and composed, having a good command of the offense. And you think about where he's coming from the college, where he's been the man. He's been the guy used to just sitting there and just lighting it up. Well, the game is going to move a lot faster for Baker Mayfield. So if we can see that calmness in the pocket, making those throws, he's got elite wide receivers to throw to. So I'm looking forward to that in Baker Mayfield.
I would have to agree as well. I think, when you're going into the first game of the season, it's interesting to see the play calling. So typically, most teams will script out 10 to 15 plays. And when Baker Mayfield's on the field, I'll be interested to see what play calls are being played, because that's going to say what he's doing well already, what the team see they could build off of, and build his confidence. So as the series goes on, as the game goes on, he's going to progress. And those 15 plays will show us that.
Yeah, I think, Scott, you're asking about Baker Mayfield, but I'm really interested in Tyrod Taylor.
Ooh, yeah.
I think
we'll start the game and start the season, according to Hugh.
And you talk about starting. I think he is playing for his career as a starter this year. If it isn't, if he can't keep this job and Mayfield becomes a starter, I don't know that Tyrod's ever going to be a regular starter in the NFL again. I think that's what's in front of him. He's been in the league for a long time now. He was a backup in Baltimore. He had a stint in Buffalo. I want to see what he does. I think Tyrod is good enough to play the whole year, and this Cleveland Browns team is pretty good. Maybe with Tyrod they could do something.
Well, how about the other team that's going to be playing in this game, and specifically the rookie, Saquon? He says that he is planning on playing. How much would you like to see him do so, Stephen?
I would like to see him play a quarter, but I know it's not going to happen game 1. I think as young running backs, you got to get him in a rhythm. Let him see the speed of the game, not only against his teammates, but against his opponent. I would like to see his quality of carries, too. Inside zone, outside zone, power, and then maybe a check down or a screen. So I would love to see him get a variety of plays, but quality plays at that.
Specific number of touches?
5. I think 5 touches.
Wow. Wait, you said a whole lot, and now you said he's only going to touch the ball 5 times.
Well, yeah, because you don't have to have the ball to see him, how he's going to compete, how he's going to react to the game.
Okay.
You don't want to put him out there. It's only week 1, and I'm the running back. I'm excited to see what he can do.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we got to be smart, and we got to just get him to week 1.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, you want to minimize his touches. And I think what we've seen over the last couple of years, we've seen a lot of success out of the young running backs. Alvin Kamara, you think about Todd Gurley having success early. I mean, Ezekiel Elliott. There have been a lot of guys out there who've had success. So you don't necessarily need to ram these guys in there, ram them to the dirt, kind of old school method. Like, I want to show that this running back is worth the first round pick. And you don't need that because on average, these guys are going to get a lot of carries. And those running backs I mentioned, their first season, they averaged about 280 carries. That's a lot of carries for a running back in his first year.
It is, but I think in order to get that number of touches, there are other things that you have to be able to do. They've talked about Barkley being the special talent, maybe the most special to come along in years, right? Well, the thing about Ezekiel Elliott was he was a willing blocker, including in pass protection. So the Cowboys could keep him on the field. So I'd like to see Barkley in those situations because if they can't trust him with a veteran quarterback who's not the most mobile guy, then you're going to see a reduction in touches because they can't trust him to be on the field on third down.
That's a really good point, Elliot. Browns-Giants live on NFL Network tomorrow night at 7, the first of 2 live games on our air on Thursday. Niners-Cowboys will be the other one, a 10 p.m. Eastern start for them. And we'll tell you what we're looking for in that game in just a bit.
Will indeed. Now we go to Foxborough, though. Patriots had their last practice prior to their preseason debut. They play the Redskins tomorrow night. How much are we going to see Tom Brady? Well, Randy Moss checks in after what was a short Patriots practice today.
The Patriots were originally scheduled for a 2-hour afternoon practice today. That had to be shortened due to weather, much like this. About 1 hour into their practice, a heavy thunderstorm hit, torrential rain. The Patriots continued practicing in that for about 15 minutes before head coach Bill Belichick made the decision to cut the practice about 40 minutes short. That's a far cry from Tuesday morning's practice, which took place in 90-degree temperatures with a 100-degree heat index. One extreme to the other in about 24 hours. Now looking ahead 24 hours, the Patriots begin their preseason here at Gillette Stadium against the Washington Redskins. No word on whether Tom Brady will play tomorrow night. He didn't participate in the first preseason game either of the last 2 years, but he did play the first 2 series in the preseason openers in 2010, 2012, 2013, and 2015.
Get the squeegee there, Randy. We appreciate that one very much. By the way, the game is 7:30 tomorrow night live. We'll be checking in on that game with some highlights on NFL Network. But the full entire re-air of the game for you Patriots and Washington fans, 1 p.m. on Friday. Let's open up the floor right here as we watch some Patriots practice. Steven, we've analyzed practice a whole bunch. Let's see these guys on the game field. Something to look for tomorrow in the Washington-New England game?
I'm going to be looking at the defense particularly because you're replacing Coach Patricia. He's moved on to be the head coach of the Detroit Lions, as well as Malcolm Butler has moved on in his career as well. So I'll be interested to see how that defense plays. They were 5th in the league in points allowed, but 29th in yards.
It was crazy, that disparity.
That disparity, right? So it'll be very interesting to see how they bounce back with the loss of those 2 key figures.
Yeah, and they got off to a rough start last year early in the season. Deshaun Watson torched them. I wonder if they're going to get off to a rough start offensively. I know we think that Tom Brady can do it with just about anybody, but all right, we've got Danny Amendola down in Miami. We've got Julian Edelman on a 4-game suspension, right? Brandon Cooks now gone as well. And so who's going to be the option in the passing game outside? I know they signed some people, but it doesn't look great right now. And then you have Sony Michel, who's on the shelf. Deion Lewis is playing in Tennessee. And they don't have the easiest schedule, guys, the first 4 games. I know they played the Jags. They played the Texans. It could be a 2-2 start. So I'm definitely watching their wide receiver group in the preseason.
And you know what, Elliot, you mentioned.
To your point there, the wide receivers that he completed passes to today in practice, Jacob Hollister, Chris Hogan, Philip Dorsett, Riley McCarron, and Julian Edelman, and Rob Gronkowski, who's not a wide receiver, obviously. But those are the people that caught Brady's passes today. His first throw to Eric Decker and team drills since he joined the team was incomplete.
So, I have 2 of their football cards.
Yeah. That's it. Well, I mean, there's definitely a lot of bodies there at that position, at the wide receiver position, but the same thing in the running back position as well. I mean, what's going to happen with the run game? And I think that's going to be crucial, especially for this New England Patriots offense. You look at the names that they have on there: James White, Rex Burkhead, Jeremy Hill, Mike Gillislee, Brandon Bolden, and then, of course, you mentioned earlier, Elliot, Sony Michel. I mean, that's a lot of bodies. That's about 8 running backs they have right now. That's a lot of bodies, and it's going to be interesting to see what that running back situation look like, because we know Bill Belichick is accustomed to doing running backs by committee. And
by committees.
By committees, yes. And so that's going to be interesting to see what materializes with that running back situation.
Stephen, help me read between the lines here. We saw a trio of light practices for Brady prior to today's practice, in which he kind of saw an increased workload. The fact that he ramped it up today, is that an indication that we won't see him tomorrow?
I would say that's a strong indication that will happen. That's the likelihood of it. Coach Belichick, he wants quality work. He wants it in an ideal situation where he could script it out, give Tom the looks he wants and needs, but at the same time get the younger guys film in the game.
Patriots hosting the Redskins tomorrow night at 7:30 Eastern. The Rams play tomorrow night as well. That game is in Baltimore. They will be without Aaron Donald, their defensive tackle, still holding out without a contract extension. But are they getting closer to a deal? GM Les Snead said today that the two sides were in the same zip code, area code, and ballpark.
Dang. That's good. That's a good thing.
I mean, it's not bad. It's also not an agreement. Chargers don't practice today, so Joey Bosa had a little time off for his left foot to heal. The Pro Bowl pass rusher having left practice yesterday with an injury that Ian Rappaport described as minor. And speaking of Ian Rappaport, he joins us now from Glendale, Arizona, where he spent the day watching the Cardinals. More on them in just a bit. First, though, it seems like Jamal Adams has created a bit of a stir in New York. What's the story there?
He certainly did, with some interesting comments on what the atmosphere in New York and the culture was like really over the past several years, and especially since he came in, made some comments to Bleacher Report here, and you can see the gist of them. Among the things he said, everybody was used to losing. You can tell that vibe. I came in, everybody wanted to do the bare minimum, did not want to go above and beyond. And as you mentioned, to be great, you have to be uncomfortable. He simply did not feel like this team, this organization was willing to sacrifice the things you need to do to become a winning place. And when Todd Bowles was asked about this, didn't shed much light on it except to say that Jamal Adams maybe didn't quite say exactly what he meant, and it's something that they addressed. That said, my understanding of his comments are a couple things. First of all, he did not offend anyone who is still there. The comments were not directed at really anyone who is in the Jets building. We know there are some players last year who were jettisoned from this team, not based on their play, but based on attitude and in locker room conduct. Mo Wilkerson is a name who comes to mind as he's trying to reinvent himself. Just one example, in Green Bay. There were a lot of things for Jamal Adams that he saw maybe on tape from some of the older guys, maybe in his first year there, that he did not like. There's a really good young core with the Jets who are trying to change the culture, who believe in doing as much as necessary, more, just to be great, and that's what Jamal Adams wants to be. Maybe he didn't say it great, but his point is actually not a bad one.
Ian Rappaport, good stuff. Thank you very much.
All right.
We've talked Browns and Giants, but 11 other games on Thursday include the Cowboys and Niners right here on the network. It's a rivalry as good as it gets. 6 NFC championship games, including, yes, that one.